Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in my last video we talked about the rumors ongoing with care worker visa coming to an end. On today's video we will be talking about the growing problems associated with this care worker visa, the things that have been happening to people coming in recently and what they are going through. If this is something you are interested in, I would encourage you to stick to the end, watch the video so you will be informed. For those of you just seeing my face for the first time, let me introduce myself to you. My name is Mercy. I'm a nurse. I'm currently practicing in the UK, and on this channel we talk about nursing, updates in the UK, lifestyle, travel vlogs, and I hope this is something you would find beneficial. Let's get into the video. So guys, in my last video I talked about the new Conservatives 12-point plan to help reduce migration into the UK, and the first plan on there was to close down the scheme that gives work visas to carers coming into the UK. And because this proposal has been put forward by members of parliament to the Prime Minister and to the House of Parliament, employers are no longer actively recruiting from abroad, meaning they have cut down on how much they recruit overseas carers. And because of that, people are finding it difficult to get a job as healthcare assistants from overseas. There are still a lot, when I say a lot, I tell you well over 100,000 vacancies that needs to be filled, that has not been filled up yet. So if you are in the process of doing this, continue your process, I will advise, and just hasten up if you can. Okay, now for people who recently have moved into the UK as carers or senior carers, they have been experiencing some negative, should I say, actions. Now a lot of people coming in as healthcare assistants are paying outrageous amount just to have a certificate of sponsorship. Not everybody gets to work with agencies, or not everybody pays this amount, but most people are selling off their properties just to be able to afford this. A lot of people, when they end up coming into the UK, they do not have shifts sometimes, and some people, when they are even given certificate of sponsorship, they come into the UK and they have no shifts. Do you understand? So they have the certificate of sponsorship that brings them into the country, but they do not have the shift to work to be able to pay their bills. A lot of people have been experiencing these and many other negative attributes as well. People have termed these as modern slavery. Okay, let me explain this further for you to understand. When you come into the UK, your employer gives you a relocation package. Now this relocation package could involve a free accommodation for either 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, and they could say we will sort out your visa and your flights and things like that. Maybe give you like bus tickets for a month, just something to get you settled smoothly and easily. But most people are not doing that right now. So when these healthcare assistants or carers come into the country, they are left to fend for themselves. That's one. Secondly, they are not giving enough shifts that would end up enabling them to meet up with their bills and pay their rent and things like that. They end up working less number of hours because their company might have employed more than what they have available to give out as shifts. So these people end up working 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day, 10 hours a day, or even less than that. Just that is not even enough to be able to fend for themselves. Now, on the other hand, some other people have these shifts, but instead of you doing a contracted number of hours of 12 hours shift or 8 hours shift, people are doing more. So you see people working 20 hours a day, and I mean, you have 24 hours a day. How are you supposed to rest? People get to work 7 days a week. I will use myself as an example. 37.5 hours is what I work a week. And you see people working more than that a week. How do you get to rest? You would feel burned out. You would feel overwhelmed, and you will not have the mental capacity and the strength to work to your full capacity. Okay, so these people are doing this because when they complain, they would be threatened that their visas will be taken away and they would be sent back to their country, and so they would not even have the right to say they want to complain. I'll give you an illustration. So there is this lady, let's use her name as Michelle and not her real name, okay? So Michelle got this job from overseas and moved into the country. Now, the employer had promised Michelle that Michelle is going to be paid an annual fee of £29,000. All right? So Michelle comes into the country with Michelle's family, and Michelle started working for this employer. Mind you, the employer had promised to give Michelle an accommodation, which was not given. So Michelle was living in a privately owned accommodation where she was using her own money to pay for herself and pay for her family. All right. Now, Michelle was working long number of hours. Instead of Michelle working an hour, say 12 hours, and then going home to her family and everything, Michelle was working long hours. So 20 hours a day was what Michelle was working, up to 7 days a week. Now, even the car Michelle was supposed to use to move from one client's house to another client's house was not provided, even though it was promised. And because it wasn't provided, Michelle had to walk to these clients' houses, and it's not funny at all. Okay, so Michelle was not paid for the first 2 months when Michelle moved into the country. And because Michelle was not paid, Michelle could not pay the rent and pay her bills. If you were in Michelle's shoes, what would you do? How would you feel? I would love to see your comments in the comment section, so leave that, okay? All right, so Michelle was working long hours, and when Michelle was paid after 2 months, she was short paid. And when she went to complain to say, oh, this is not what we agreed, this is not the plan and everything, she was threatened that her visa was going to be cancelled, her COS was going to be withdrawn, and she would have to go back to her country, and she could not do anything. She had no idea who she was supposed to report to or who she was supposed to run to. And this is something I would advise you. When you move into the country and you start working, you need to be signed up with unions and community where you can ask questions and the right set of people would respond to you. It's like I am joined with RCN. That's one body you can register with, and you can also register with Unison, and those kinds of union that they could fight for you legally if it comes to that. So bear that in mind. There was one night Michelle went to work, and while she was working, her family were out on the streets, and someone saw them and had to report to social services. Social services came and had to take Michelle in. And when Michelle laid out all of these queries and everything she has been going through, they ended up giving Michelle an accommodation from social services, and Michelle is currently seeking asylum in the UK. Now, there are bodies that are doing investigations into these things that people are experiencing. Even the HMRC, the Home Office, is doing investigation as to these experiences people have been going through. Over 300 investigations have been ongoing, so you can see how much of it is being reported on a daily basis. And so I will advise you, when you get a job, in the UK, and you say, this is my contract that has been given to you, read it properly. If you need to like bounce ideas with someone, go through it with somebody so that you will know that your contract is the right one. Whatever is involved, say if you have to leave them after a certain number of years, you would know how much you would have to pay back, if you have to pay back. And if you have to stay with them compulsorily for say 5 years or 3 years without leaving, you will know what the contract entails, know what the number of hours you're supposed to be working, know what the relocation packages are, and just things like that. And if possible, during the course of your interview, ask what support is available for you when you move over, just so that you know all of these things have been figured out by you and you have discussed it with the intending employer as well. Okay, and at the end of it, don't forget to pray, irrespective of your faith and irrespective of your religion. Pray so that you will make the right decision. Okay, and I hope with everything I have said, you have been informed so that you will make the right decision. And I'm rooting for you and I'm hoping your plans and your aspirations of moving is fulfilled. I hope you found some value from this content that you've watched today. And if you did, don't forget to like. Please like, share it, comment, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.